So we move on to the final speaker of this first session. And our next speaker is VP of Product at a company that you're probably all familiar with, FreeAgent, the leader in cloud-based accounting software for small businesses. And I'm not paid to say this, don't worry, but I do remember roughly about 15 years ago, some small creative agency designers, for those of us who've come up from the Northeast, you'll remember Gospelware, and one of their co-founders telling me totally without prompting me about the miracle that was FreeAgent and how it had helped sort out and organize his financial life and made life so much better. So it's great to be able to welcome them here today. Another thing that's changed from 2010 was we never really talked about product, at least when we were working. It was a design and build that was for addressing the developer and the designer audience, and product people weren't really part of that discussion. At that point, the only time I heard about product people were more traditional big companies like a Unilever or Procter & Gamble, who would have, I mean, the product management function was very well established there, and if you were an aspiring MBA, you often desired to get one of those jobs. I'm not sure how product management began its creep into digital. I'm going to guess that Steve Ballmer, who came from Procter & Gamble, may well have been one of the people to help the thinking of that discipline come into Microsoft, because that was the next place I heard. That was probably the first place amongst tech companies that I heard about people going into a product management function. Today, of course, it's everywhere, which is great and very much addresses just how complex and important the digital products and services have become, that they need a whole new discipline and a different kind of mindset in person to be part of that. And our next speaker here is going to be telling us a little bit about the state of the art of product management, a little about her career, a little about how it's done at FreeAgent, with a particular focus on ICs, which are independent individual contributors, which I only learned about recently. So here to tell us more is Angela Fleming.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. So this is my first time attending DIBI. As it was explained, historically DIBI's been more focused on the engineering and designing side. But when I was chatting to the organisation team, they were explaining to me like how wanting to encapsulate more across into product. So that got me thinking about what would I have liked to have heard if I was in the audience back when I was an individual contributor as a product manager. So what things would I have appreciated maybe learning a bit earlier than what I did. And as I was reflecting and thinking about sort of moments of confusion that I had, if I'm being honest, probably moments of frustration as well, it was the topic of strategy. It really sort of, most of my memories came back to. So that's how I came to this decision, let's talk about shaping strategy as an individual contributor. So who am I? As it's been said, my name's Angela Fleming. I'm VP of Product at FreeAgent. We're based here in Edinburgh, so a lovely sunny day to represent the city. So I've been with FreeAgent for 5 years, but I've been in the tech space for, we'll politely say, over 20 years. So I have been round the block quite a few times. Most of my time has been spent in the product management space. In the last 8 years, I've been in more senior product leadership roles. So thinking about the role of product strategy in an organisation and like who should contribute into that. So there tends to be a viewpoint that it's for senior leadership, it's for product leaderships, the executive teams. That's their responsibility to set strategy, and then everybody else needs to follow through. Some people think maybe I'm more of a technical role, so that's for somebody else to do. I do the technical side, or I'm more on the delivery side. But I'm here today to say it's everybody's role. We should all be involved in it. And my core message is that we all have a seat at the table when it comes to defining and forming our product strategy within your organisation. So that's not just a viewpoint that I have. If you speak to many product leaders, they will, if you've asked them this, they will say, yes, of course, you should be contributing in. And one person that I've taken a nice quote from, Satya Nadella from Microsoft, when he took over the reins at Microsoft, he recognised the organisation was very much quite in a rigid hierarchy. And he wanted to shift away from that. He wanted to move across to more of a culture of collaboration, empowerment, and continuous learning. So really making sure everybody understood that strategy doesn't get defined from the top, that it's everybody's responsibility, and especially the folk that are closest to the work and closest to the customers of the organisation. So really everybody's sitting in the room today. And we all should recognise that we all have a seat at the table when it comes to strategy. So whilst we all have a seat at the table, the important thing is to recognise that we need to claim that seat. You will not receive a lovely cordial invitation to come and join us. We're going to have a chat and decide what we're going to do next. You need to be proactive in sharing your insights and your viewpoints and get involved in the conversation. So how can you do that? So I'm not going to introduce any groundbreaking new things. The stuff I'm going to talk about are things that I know that you're all doing in your day-to-day jobs as you work through things. But I just want to highlight things and how you can take it one step further, and then how that can lead into getting into more strategic conversations. So the first area is data-driven insights. I have no doubt that everybody delves into data on a day-to-day basis. You're looking at what's happening with your product, with your customers. That could be user analytics. You might be looking at performance metrics, or even code efficiency, and delving into that and seeing what's happening, understand patterns that are forming, and identifying opportunities for you as an organisation. You're closest to this. You're at the forefront of what's happening. You are the ones that are at the forefront of technology. You're at the forefront of the execution and the delivery, and also of innovation. So you should be sharing these insights that you see as you do your data analysis and the opportunities you identify. Management and leadership will not always see this stuff, and they're relying on yourselves to step forward and share this and pick out when sometimes an opinion's wrong and correct them on that. I appreciate that that might sound a bit scary for some people, but you should get into the mindset that people want to hear from you. And the same meaning from customer understanding. You are the closest to your customer's base, to the work. You understand how your products are being used from a customer perspective. You may be involved in user research, beta programs. You may spend a lot of time analysing support tickets to understand your customer pain points. All this allows you to build up a great knowledge and expertise on who your customers are and what they want. And it's important that you share that insight out with across your organisation. This area here I'm sort of calling technical leadership, and what I'm meaning is your craft. So whether you're in engineering, design, product management, you are the specialists of the areas, so you should be bringing your insight and knowledge forward. So if you understand your product goals, your strategy is part of it is to enhance your user experience. You want to make that a more premium experience. But as an engineer, you know that in order to do that, there's a whole load of tech debt that needs to get addressed. And if we don't address that, we're never going to hit the goal that we set for ourselves as an organisation. So you have to be sharing this information and bringing forward ideas on how best to pursue that in order to achieve the goals collectively as a product and engineering organisation. And the last area I want to highlight is about cross-functional collaboration. So this is, I have no doubt within your product and engineering organisations you work well across the departments, across the teams. Teams come together to work together on bigger projects. But I'm thinking more out with the company. Do you spend a lot of time with your marketing department, with your sales department, customer success, support departments? The value that you can gain from spending time with them, building stronger relationships with them, understanding what their priorities are, what their pain points are, how they see the customer's pain points and the insights that they are getting from their engagements with your customers, all add value and allow you to build on that and sort of influence sort of directions going forwards. So one thing I can remember when I was doing my reflection of when I was a product manager and stuff I would like to have learnt earlier was I was given some advice because I'd speak to people and sort of vent off basically about, oh, we should be doing this. I don't understand why that's on there. That's just the wrong thing to do. And I could be quite opinionated in my thoughts. And somebody said to me, like, oh, like, you need to be going out and telling and sharing this. And I was like, they're not going to listen to me. I'm just a product manager. Like, I've been doing this for a couple of years. And the advice I was given was to remember that influence is not about authority. It's about your knowledge and expertise and how you communicate that, your communications through that. And that was something that sort of stuck with me that I wanted to share today. So thinking about influencing and understanding, so we've covered areas where you can influence, insight that you have that you can be sharing, but you need to think about how can you expand your sphere of influence. So naturally, your influence starts with your immediate work, the day-to-day work that you do. And you want to start maybe thinking about within your team. And again, I'm sure there's great team dynamics within your team. You think you work really well together, but think about what else you could be doing. You want to be that subject matter expert, so you want to be recognised as that go-to person. And you demonstrate this through delivering high-quality work on a frequent basis. But you can also start sharing knowledge, making sure everybody across the team really understands why that's the right thing to do, why we should be pursuing a particular option that's been agreed on. And you start to build some respect amongst your peers within your team. So they'll reach out to you to get your advice. And as you be recognised as an expert, naturally your recommendations and opinions carry more weight, and this helps you further expand your sphere of influence. So you can start moving out across your organisation. And as a product manager, this was where I really recognised a bit of a gear shift, whereas I was complaining that nobody would listen to me, etc. I recognised that I need to sort of get out there more across the organisation. And I did spend time naturally with different departments as I needed to as a product manager, but I decided I need to invest more time into that. And what I did was spend time with our sales department. They were very opinionated on the product, and they would get quite angry about various aspects. And let's be honest, working in sales is not an easy gig. So I wanted to spend time to understand like what was the problems and understand like what they were trying to achieve. So I spent time with a number of the folk in that department to understand that department's priorities, what it was that they were aiming for and how and what this meant for the business overall. And through that time I was able to identify opportunities, and going back to the team, we've talked about it and we realised actually if we make some changes to our roadmap, we could help out the sales team here. They were after a couple of really big deals that would be quite a good coup for us as a company. So we were able to reprioritise our roadmap and bring in some additional work that were quick wins to help the sales team secure these deals. And when that happens, they become your friends for life. They're then your advocates. I mean, you've got advocates, like it makes the job a hell of a lot easier. And that allows you to expand your sphere further up into, sort of further out into leadership circles. Because what happens is these departments have meetings just like us. They talk to one another, they share their gripes and their wins. And when they're in these meetings, they're given status updates against the plan they have. So in the instance of sales, they were going through plan, where are we against what we're targeting for? And the people I was working with and how I was able to help secure some of the deals, they were calling me out and mentioning me by name to say, oh, we had a blocker here. We didn't think we were going to do that, but now the team's developed a couple of the small features that they were after, so we've now closed that gap against our competitors, and the customers agreed to sign up. And in these meetings, it's like peers to yourself, but also leadership members as well, so your head of sales, your chief sales officers, and they're hearing that. They're hearing how you've helped their department work towards their goals, and they'll remind that. So they will then start recognising you. It builds your credibility. So they will then start reaching out to you yourself to get your opinion, to get your thoughts on something, and that's how you continue to build your influence out beyond. So what else can you do to step up? And especially when you're in a product team, you've got your sprints that you're working through, but what else can you be doing to think about with your day-to-day activity, that how can I be more strategic in my work? The first thing is to think beyond codes. So when you're working on a feature, a bug fix, for example, ask yourself, how does this align with our product goals? How does this align with the business strategy? And if you're able to answer that, that's perfect. You're doing the right thing and you know you're investing your time well. However, if you're struggling to answer that, then that's an opportunity to be asking questions of your own leadership or out with the departments as well. And really deciding what you're about to do, is that the best investment for your time and your energy? And that's something that then demonstrates you're thinking of the bigger picture. Another thing to do, as well as being subject matter experts within your area, think about how you can stay informed about what's going on within your market, within your industry. What are your competitors doing? Is there any new legislation on the horizon that could maybe be impactful to your organisation that you need to be mindful of? So stay informed and share that information. And this communication is critical, and you want to be proactively communicating. You don't want to be waiting to get invitations to come and join conversations, to share your thoughts, because you're going to miss the opportunities. So if you know a conversation's happening, a discussion's happening, and I appreciate you're not going to barge into a meeting room to declare that you've got something to say, but you can reach out to the people involved and start sharing through Slack, email, etc., your thoughts and ideas, and see how you can get involved in things. But also share what's happening within your department, what you're working on, making sure people understand the direction that you're going in. And the last part is about mentoring and leading. Again, like with strategy, there can be a view that coaching and mentoring is the role of management and of leadership, but we're all responsible for the growth of each other. So we really should recognise that and seek to help others. So think, as you form yourself as the subject matter expert, that go-to person, what skills and expertise can you be sharing with others? And think about how you can be leading these conversations. You have an idea, you've got an opinion, get a group of people together to discuss that problem, get thoughts out, and then start sharing what the ideas are. So I appreciate I'm sort of banging on here about do more of this and grab that seat and sort of get involved. But leadership also have a key role with regards to empowering everybody towards product strategy. And one way leadership can do that is with regards to creating clarity. If you don't understand the direction of the company, if you don't understand your company's vision, you're going to really struggle to align the work that you're doing with that bigger picture. So it's leadership's role to create clarity and make sure that everybody really truly understands the what and the why. One way we do that at FreeAgent is we use this framework from a book called The Advantage. It's written by Patrick Lencioni. And Patrick Lencioni states that for an organisation to be successful, the leadership team need to be creating strong clarity. And you can do that by answering these 6 questions. So I'm not going to go through the 6 questions because it's probably a talk in itself. But you can see these questions here, and you can see some of the ways that we answer that within FreeAgent. But what's important is not that we just do this once a blue moon. We're constantly talking about this. We talk about our vision. We're talking about our strategic anchors, the impact that we're wanting to do. Everyone understands the roles across the business and what they're responsible for. So we refer back and we work through this on a continuous basis. But leadership also needs to create an environment to empower you all. And one way is to look to foster a culture of openness and transparency, making sure that you have all the information that you need to do your role and all the information you need to be able to contribute into conversations of the bigger picture of the product strategy. You can also be thinking about, I've been speaking a lot, about proactive communication and saying you need to get in the conversations, share a lot. But leadership have a responsibility to help create that space and to encourage proactive communication. So not everybody is super confident just to step out there and share their viewpoints. Some people need a nudge, and that's a role that leadership can help with, spending time in one-to-one sessions, discussing things through, coaching, helping explain how best to share that information out. But also in wider meetings, big company-wide meetings, department meetings, leadership should be looking at opportunities to ask open questions to get people involved in the conversation, so it's truly a two-way process. At FreeAgent, when it comes to strategy, we also use a framework from this book here called Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt. And he explains a good strategy consists of three stages. The first is your diagnosis, the diagnosis of the current situation. So that's where you go out, do all your analysis, go wide as possible, understand what's happening in your market, your competitors, technology, and bring all that information back in and have a full understanding of that so you can understand what's the challenges and determine what challenges you want to be pursuing with regards to your product. Once you've done your analysis, you then move on to determine your guiding principles. And this is where you would then set your sort of overarching approach. And this allows you to come back to this time and time again to check that the work you're doing still aligns with that overarching approach. And once you've set out these sort of goals that you're going to be pursuing to address the challenges that you've identified, you then set out your coherent actions. So this is the cohesive plan that you're going to do. So very tactical of what you're going to do to achieve the goals that you have set. And at FreeAgent, this is a model that we use across the full business. So every team works through this, and one of the outputs they have as a team is a team strategy card. And this isn't a huge, like Harry Potter-sized novel. It's like a 2-page document it's an output from all their work. And it answers these 5 questions. Excuse me, sorry. It answers these 5 questions. And one of the important aspects of this is that the teams are able to clearly articulate what it is they're going to do that contributes into our overarching company strategy. And as a result of that, that feeds into our product strategy based on the insights and the decisions that the teams have determined. So they work through this, present it to leadership, we have great conversations, and then the teams obviously go out and execute, and everybody's a winner, as I say. So we do that across the business, so it's not just across product and engineering. All the different departments within FreeAgent do this, so it becomes a truly connected activity. Everybody's building their team strategy, and how does that support the departments, so products, engineering, and then it all feeds up to make. The result is that our company strategy is fully covered from all teams across the business. So it is a very coordinated input, and so that's why it's important that leadership give clear direction, because we are the starting point of that. So we need to set out that North Star. We need to make sure everybody understands where we're going and why we want to be there. And then with the teams understanding that, they can take that information away, and with their knowledge and expertise, they can determine, okay, what's the right things that they should be doing to help us get closer to that North Star that we've set. So they will be guided by their knowledge, the opportunities they've identified, and the measures. So that's all defined by our teams. So when it comes to leadership, when it comes to strategy and product strategy in our case, it is truly a collaborative process, and that's why everybody has a seat at the table. Everybody should be involved in that. Everyone has information, insights to share, and it's important that we work closely together and bring that together to form what would be a great strategy. So some of the takeaways I just want to highlight. So we do, as I say, we all have a seat at the table, but it's really important that you really get involved. You take that seat, you claim it, and you're proactively sharing the value that you can bring to conversations. Think about how you can influence. So think about what you're doing just now. I'm sure in the teams it's great dynamics there, but so start thinking more broadly. How can you engage across the business? How can you engage more with leadership? And that's really expanding your sphere of influence. Think about the data and insights that you have and what you can bring to the conversations. And then think about ways that you can step up more. How can you translate your work more into strategic context and share that across the business as well? So just for clarity, like, I truly believe that everybody has a responsibility to work and contribute into building a strategy. And when that happens, it means that the product is in the best position to really pursue the goals that are being set. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Angela. Really interesting talk and lots of questions. Sorry. Yeah. Are you going to put it down? Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm very croaky. Apologies, I've had a bad cough.
It sounds cool. It sounds very cool to me. So, and in as much as you can comment on things, you may or may not be able to comment. Just putting in context of FreeAgent, what is the kind of big, you talked a lot obviously about knowing the strategy and such like that. What's the big strategic challenge for FreeAgent as an entity?
So yeah, so for FreeAgent, so we provide accountancy software solutions to UK small business market, accountants, practices, bookkeepers, and we're really focusing on that accountancy side. So with we have 3 channels. So we've got our direct customers who subscribe directly on the website. We're part of the NatWest group, so the full banks. If you're a NatWest, any one of the NatWest brands, a business customer, you get FreeAgent for free, which is a great perk. And so there's a huge customer base there, and we've done really well in recent years. So we've had a focus on that to really build up. But what we're recognising, I spoke about like external challenges. Making tax digital is new legislation that's coming in next year. It's been stalled a couple of times, but that means that everybody has to submit their tax submissions digitally online every quarter. So again, a great opportunity for us. And we are really thinking, how can we build more with our practice channel? So that's like one of the key strategic angles we're focusing on. And
is Sage your primary competitor?
Yeah, so to be fair, our probably number 1 competitor is Xero.
Xero, okay.
And then like Sage is there, QuickBooks. So they're seen as the top 3, and then we're sort of behind. But that's one of our big goals that we want to force our way into and to be recognised in the top 3 and elbow somebody out.
And then boiling it down to a product challenge, as you try to go after more of that specific market, I guess how does that translate into the specific things for the product team to try and figure out what are the sort of key challenges there for you?
Yeah, so so focusing on sort of the themes. So we have a couple of teams that are really focused on that practice channel, understanding what do accountancy practices need, what's the functionality they're expecting, and so they're focusing on that. And we have other teams focusing more on the ecosystem with NatWest Bank and how we can build that ecosystem to be even stronger. And collectively, all the teams are working on delivering a premium user experience as well. So these are the sort of key areas of focus for our teams. But the practice channel is the great opportunity that we're making good headway with. Okay.
Let me just, before we run out of time, so we've got a number of questions here on Slido. I agree with your sentiment on how ICs can and should work. However, many ICs face leaders who don't want to empower them. How can one deal with such leaders? If you can call them leaders.
Yes, no, and I get that. I was in that position, hence my reference to moments of frustration. It just felt that people didn't listen, or they were missing something. And it's hard, it's really hard, and you have to be brave, basically. And that's why building out your sort of network, sort of building the relationships with different people across the business, you can start to form like really strong relationships, and you can start to sort of share sort of your honest thoughts, and you know when you've got to that point in a relationship that you know that you're not going to get crucified for sharing something. So that's one thing I would encourage. The other thing is to sort of, and I suppose the problem might be your product leadership, so but ask questions, and when you're in forums together, ask questions and keep asking. If you're not getting the answers you're wanting to hear, keep asking, and then maybe follow up to explain like why you're wanting to know this, and explain how you go in. Because people, I would like to think people aren't going to ignore you, so that's another route that I would sort of go down. But it's really about building the sort of relationships across the business with different peers. It's where I would start. And I'm sure all your organisations, at FreeAgent we have an engagement survey, and we have various different team surveys to get lots of feedback. So share your thoughts, don't be they're normally anonymous anyway, so share your thoughts in that, and that's like leadership should then get the hint.
So when you say spend time with other teams, and you've talked, I mean, ultimately, I guess, about building your networks, building relationships, I mean, what does that actually look like for you? They're talking to me here, sat in the desk area, observe meetings, dedicated time asking questions, I mean, in practice.
So when I was a product manager, the company I worked for was a global organisation, so our head office was down south. So I used to travel a lot down, and so I was staying in hotels. And I did recognise that was I had a bit of an advantage. So I'd be having dinner, I'd see people down in the restaurant for dinner, so I'd go and join them and sort of start talking about things. But also I'd like, if I'm in the office and people in the kitchen, start a conversation, sit with folk for lunch, doing sort of things outside of standard meetings, but then schedule time with people, say like, I just want to put some time, a half hour in your diary, I want to have a chat, understand. People love to talk, and especially if they're pissed off, pardon the language, but they want to tell people that. So like schedule meetings and get the conversation started.
So I'm going to squeeze in one more question, even though we're over time, but this is related to one on the Slido, but my sense of being a product manager is you're kind of responsible for everything in some sense, or at least knowing about everything and then trying to balance everything together, sort of thing. So, you know, I mean, the question here is how do you do your personal expansion of circle of influence without actually totally burning out?
Yeah, that's a good question. You need to think the bigger picture, like you can't do everything in a week or in a month, but set yourself some goals, like a couple of goals, and then think about how can you work towards that. And it might be like over the course of a year, your goal, and you're going to spend time just spending time with people, and really think how you can fit that into the work you're doing, because you don't want to overload yourself, but you want to make sure that you are spending the time in that. So it's really based on your workload, thinking how much work you can invest and sort of spread it out. So I would reckon all the stuff I'm saying today, it's not a case of, I'll go back to the office and in a week do all this. This is a slow process, and it builds up over time, and sort of recognising that and just doing it one step at a time.
Yes, I guess more of a mindset change than necessarily a total shift from day one. Angela, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.